at some point. I think we just have to say that in a certain given point in time, to go from X to Y by when, everybody needs to know what that Y destination is in that time
Yeah,
frame.
yeah.
And if they can figure that out, then yes, everybody will start to self-select out non-priorities. And everyone's got brains. They've got their own gifts. Let them use them, but tell them this is where we're going. The clarity needs to be given from the top down. I
Thank you.
think
What
that's.
else? What else when you have finite resources?
Well, I will say this. Sometimes they say, what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention. We get creative, right? So you want you absolutely believe that feature, you absolutely believe that element has to be there, then how can you get it without requiring dollars? Does that mean that you're going to bring everyone in on a Saturday and Sunday to work on this particular attribute, feature, whatever? We get creative, right? And so
Yeah.
sometimes having not enough resources is actually so good at the focus and also being inventive at coming up with a suitable solution, knowing
Yeah,
that there is no resource.
I think that goes into the leadership. The founder needs to set the right goal, right
Yeah,
outcomes
yeah.
for like if the outcome is we want to come up with 10 new features in the product by the end of this quarter is different than we want to come up with two features that will double our.
Welcome, everyone. We are now talking on this podcast, just the two of us. There are lots of questions. We won't have time today, but we'll slowly go through them all. But there are so many questions that you all have, and we're going to tackle them one by one. Ultimately, do a kind of a problem and solution sort of a approach. So I've got some topics that have come up over the years as well as recently. We want to be able to discuss them. So Ike, you have a question.
I do have a question. It's a killer one. Every founder faces this challenge. How do you handle the limited resources you have? Because everybody wants something from your team, your customers want, and they are all urgent, they're all mandatory, but you have finite resources, and the resources meaning, the number of team members you have, the dollars you have available to you, hours in the day as a collective team. So let's start with that. Like, how have you approached this?
This is such a beautiful topic because it happens every day. It's not just, quarterly planning or whatever. It happens every day. Whether you're managing a small team and a small 5-man startup, or whether you've got a 500 unit team, it's always going to be competing. So one of the topics, we're going to go back and forth. One of the topics that I bring up with any of my coaching clients, as well as what I've done, is we have to figure out what is the actual overall goal that we're trying to pursue, because I have to keep reminding everybody, hey, we just detoured with an urgent need for something. What's the goal that we're after? So if we can remind ourselves what the goal is, the likelihood of then being able to say, oh, you're right, that's not a priority, right? And what happens is you're in the middle of the forest, the trees are hiding you from seeing what's going on, you're battling, and you just have to take time out and say, okay, what is it that we're after? And you're right, Binoy, we need to figure out what is our main purpose of this sprint, of this particular quarter, of this particular 6 months. Then we can figure out what we're trying to get at. But often I find that we asphyxiate with, I need this, I need that, I need this. And we just have to breathe and say, where are we going? As the first question to help sort of bring back into alignment the priorities that we're tackling.
So are you saying identify your North Star,
Yeah.
and based on that North Star, like what we need to do today to
Yes.
achieve that? Yeah.
Yes, and I have found, I've been in it many times where we're stuck in the fight and we're trying to solve problems. This is that. If I only had this, if I only had that. Can I have more? Right? Just can I have more? And the question is, wait a minute. What am I trying to achieve? What am I trying to fine tune, create efficiencies for? What am I trying to solve? For what purpose? The what purpose, the why, is what will help at
Yes.
least let some oxygen into the brain, because we're always hyperventilating, firefighting all the time. I've got more to say, but
Yeah.
that's number
So
one.
yeah, if we take one dimension of the company, let's say product, you have your roadmap, but you have things that you need to do today. So just like how they say, in restaurant business, location, location, location.
Mhm.
In startup, I think focus, focus, focus is the most
Yes.
important thing.
Yes.
And you don't want all the bells and whistles to compete. You want to focus on the things that differentiates you. So especially in the early days, if you're just again focusing on the product piece of it, just focus on what makes you the best of the best in your space to help you differentiate. I think that's where you want to be able to focus. And I remember a great article. It's the founder of Superhuman, like email app, right?
Yeah.
They actually surveyed their customers, found out the most loved features. They just doubled down on those features to make them even better.
Yeah.
Instead of, okay, I've got these features down already, now I'm going to add these other features that everybody else has. I'm going to make my team busy, like that. For the product, I understand. So let me expand this a little bit. But the business is not one dimension, there's
That's
multi-dimension.
right. That's right.
And everybody says, oh, you've got to have the best product and differentiate it. Oh, you need to have the best sales. Oh, but you need to have the best branding, and I should be able to advertise. Oh, but you also have to have this, and you also have to have this. And so how do you manage that with even with your own employees coming to you and asking?
Yeah, this is a beautiful topic. The old adage, you probably heard this, if we have three endpoints of a triangle, right? Where you've got price, quality, and timeliness,
Uh-huh.
right? You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
this, right?
yeah,
Pick two
yeah.
as a business, right? Pick two. You've got to practice what I call selective negligence. You've got to say no. You've got to say no. Are you going to be a quality and a high price, right? If that's the case, then you can't afford to provide it under a short timeline. Or are you going to be on time, always the fastest deliver with the lowest price? Then your quality is going to be not the best. It's a Temu product, right? That's where you're going to be going to get your stuff. The same thing applies everywhere you go, which is why I go back to the focus, which is what you said, as well as the priority. Which ones are you going to neglect on purpose, right? And the CEO, the founder, has got to make that so clear that maybe it's a small team, but let's just say there's even one manager between the founder and the employees. That manager better have the same priority that the CEO has. And the CEO is helping their employees focus on exactly what that is. Because everyone's going to say, I need this, I need this, I need this. Yeah. Remember, which is what another thing you and I have talked about over the decade is that the CEO, the founder, has got to be a repeater of the same message multiple times.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's
Getting
not
bored.
all that sexy, but if you're not clear on what the priorities are, then everybody's going to wander off the page and squirrel. We've got to go back to always sharing with everybody, this is where we're going, this is why we're going, why, and this is how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
And anything else, not important. And you got to be the bad guy. You've got to be able to say, sorry, cut that out.
So thank you for that. I said focus, you said priority. What's the difference? Why are they important?
I guess it goes back to the general question because we were talking about conflicting priorities. Everyone needs something at some point. I think we just have to say that in a certain given point in time, to go from X to Y by when, everybody needs to know what that Y destination is in that time
Yeah,
frame.
yeah.
And if they can figure that out, then yes, everybody will start to select out non-priorities. And everyone's got brains. They've got their own gifts. Let them use them, but tell them this is where we're going. The clarity needs to be given from the top down.
Thank you. What else? What else when you have finite resources?
Well, I will say this. Sometimes they say, what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention. We get creative, right? So you want you absolutely believe that feature, you absolutely believe that element has to be there, then how can you get it without requiring dollars? Does that mean that you're going to bring everyone in on a Saturday and Sunday to work on this particular attribute, feature, whatever? We get creative, right? And so
Yeah.
sometimes having not enough resources is actually so good at the focus and also being inventive at coming up with a suitable solution, knowing
Yeah,
that there is no resource.
I think that that goes into the leadership. The founder needs to set the right goal, right
Yeah,
outcomes
yeah,
for like if the outcome is we want to come up with 10 new features in the product by the end of this quarter is different than we want to come up with two features that will double our revenues,
yeah,
you know, in two
yeah,
quarters, right?
yeah.
Like if the goal is set properly, then regardless of the resources you have, like that goes back to what you said, like you're gonna be able to find, you're gonna create it out of necessity.
Yes, you shared something that also triggers another thought. Organizations, if done well, will be so good at being transparent up and down that the free flow of needs, priorities, focus, negligence becomes a happy environment versus a sour, I didn't get it, grumbling environment. If, for example, everyone is communicating so quickly and they go, guess what? Boss says we can actually not worry about that. Oh, that's a weight off my shoulders, right? Because they were able to communicate it. But when there's not enough communication happening, then there's expectations and missed expectations, and the gap between reality and the expectation only grows, which causes everyone to be unhappy. So
Yes, yes.
fast up and down and sideways communication is key when the conflicts and or competing priorities are pulling everybody.
Yeah, referring back to what you said earlier, like the CEO founder needs to communicate. I think biggest tasks is to explain the why, the
Yes.
reasons behind it. You can't just here's our mantra, here's our vision, and just stay there. You need to explain the reasons. When you set up a goal and outcome, you set the guidelines for people to be able to make decisions,
Yeah.
right?
They need, yeah, absolutely. I call it, tell them what the goal is to score into that net, but here are the boundaries of the field we're playing in. And
Yes.
these are the tools you'll have, knee pads, soccer cleats, right? Is we'll give you all of that training, and but these are the boundaries, and the goal is to go over there in this time period. If they don't know that, no wonder people are going to wander off all over the place. They need to be given the parameters.
Yeah,
It's
interesting. I was gonna say when people come up with ideas or ways to solve problems, there's or like adding features. Like let's go to this market as well. Why don't we sell to bigger companies, smaller companies? Like how about the Google ad advertisement? We don't have that. Let's put some money. I think I was gonna say we need to know how to say no, like art of saying no. But that actually goes one step before that. Meaning, if I can explain as a leader to the organization, this is what we're trying to accomplish. This is our goal. These are the priorities we have. The number of and no's will have to come out of me is going to be
yeah,
diminished because the
yeah,
people will already know
yeah.
the constraints, the goals, and like, they will not come up with a request that is going to require me to say no.
Yes, it's so much easier to manage when the guidelines and the direction and the training and the support and the communication is all in alignment, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
reduces the amount of exception management. You want the whole include compensation in that, right? Put compensation into that accurate, prioritized goal. Then guess what? Everyone will align. I'd
yeah.
like to have that be part of that formula compensation as well,
Yep, yep.
which which then tells me that for many small businesses starting out who want to do everything, I want to go to one of the things you said: select that one thing, two max, that will absolutely make a difference and differentiate you from everybody else. And that's where you focus, which allows less meandering off the page, less distraction.
Yeah.
Focus on what you do best, where you will make a big difference. Otherwise, you're just going to be wasting time. Never mind getting extra gray hairs unnecessarily. Don't need to go there.
And I think, in the AI world, I am a techie. So my mind goes to, ooh, I have AI coding agents. I can just add these, features into products and all that. But everybody should understand it's a business is a complex organization
Yeah.
with many parts touching the other parts. There are some rare cases where you can have product-led growth, so product drives everything. But most businesses, the messaging that the marketing uses has to match what you have, so the customers are not upset after they buy it. The sales needs to be able to position it, find the right type of customers, who's your ICP. You can't just say, I'm just going to try 10 different ICPs and see which one is successful. You can't do that. So these are the parts that needs to be thought of, like
Yes.
when setting these goals and all that, right?
I like this topic, and I think this is all the topic we've got today because I've got another element. I've also seen people paralyzed because they haven't figured out what it is that they're going to be differentiated on. What is our magic source? Because it's not too early in the game, they don't know. And
Yeah.
so, one of the things that I've also seen successful teams do is they pick one, let's go for it, focus. And if it's wrong, then you pivot and do another one. But instead of, oh, I got to spread myself thin, don't. Go, take action, get everyone aligned. And if it doesn't work, then change. Pivot, go another one. And then invariably, you'll get to the one that does make a difference. It just, the harmonics go off, everything works, right? But too many people also wait for, I got to come up with a perfect strategy, with a perfect alignment, with the perfect product, with the right features. No. That's also another reason for wasted allocation.
Yes, interestingly, in the past year or so, I got introduced to so many entrepreneur wannabes. So like somebody's fiance, somebody's nephew, and all that. And some of them come with, I've been doing research for 3 months and I want to make sure I found the perfect product idea. So they keep testing it, testing it, testing it. After 2 years passes by, they are still trying to find the perfect product, perfect customer, perfect this and that. I think if you think about it, time maybe is one of those constraints
Yeah.
that you need to put, even if you need to put artificially. But trying things in the field is as important,
Yes.
not just hypothetically.
Yes.
So
Intellectually, yep.
yeah, so
Planning.
this it comes to what you said, like after you start the business, these micro pivots, like you go try something, you have maybe 70% of the information. Go try it, and always know that there's a time ticking for you to pivot to something else. It could be micro pivot or major one, doesn't matter. But I think there is a beauty in trying in the field and learning from those experiences to shape what's coming next.
Yes, you got it. We were going to tackle another topic, but we don't have enough time. Got another one. I've also told many of the founders and CEOs who ultimately have the responsibility for the checkbook, the cash in the bank. I've also always said, please, please make sure that there's enough extra oxygen, cash, dry powder put away because you are the steward of the allocation of where it goes. Focus everybody, but keep enough in the background. And that kind of discipline is hard because payroll comes in, you've got this bill and whatever, and it's very difficult. But the very courageous and disciplined founder who says, of my monies, I'm going to allocate 70% of it to start this business, to get things going. And I must stick to that. In case I do get a beautiful bullseye, we need to do more there. I don't have any more resources. You gotta have an allocation that you can put after the experiment has panned out to the positive. So that's another topic. Would you agree?
I
Right?
agree 100%. Yes, yes. It same as like luck is. I think it was. I think I read this in the Rich Dad Poor Dad. If I'm correct, it's a Kiyosaki. Like luck is but being able to take advantage of it when it comes to you. Like
Yes.
if you have zero money in the bank and this a big opportunity came and you're not ready, you're not prepared, you don't have
You'll
enough,
always be unlucky.
you'll always be unlucky.
Yeah. Wow. So those are some of the things I just went through in my head, and you did too, as to what people face, and it's a never-ending onslaught of demand. Not enough resources. Well, guess what? You got to get really good at saying no. Really good. It's a tough decision. There's a whole element of subconscious programming where we want to be liked, and so we want to say yes to everything. And that's another dangerous area. But we're just talking about being so focused, having enough extra oxygen, and letting the team win with boundaries, and you repeating over and over as the founder, why, by when, right? Why, by when? Then we have a higher chance of priorities being met.
Yeah, I agree.
Done. Guess what? That's all the time we got today. So
Okay.
we're gonna do another one. We're gonna do these short ones consistently. And our viewers and readers and listeners, hope you enjoy. Please share. Let us know what you think about this. We got so many topics we need to cover. So, Ike, thanks, bud.
Thank you,
Let's do
Sai.
it. Let's close.
Bye.